Bula, Malale, Talofa and Welcome to Season 6, Episode 32 of Breakfast Bites by TEIVOVOsports.com. A wrap of Pasifika People's sports news on a bright and sunny Tuesday morning, 1 August 2023. Coming to you with tons of hanisi from the 180th meridian in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so to start off this podcast today, I want to pay a special tribute to AFL icon Lance Buddy Franklin, who retired effective immediately yesterday in Sydney, where he plays for the Swans. Franklin confirmed the news in an Instagram post, writing, "What a journey, thanks to everyone who has been on this crazy ride with me." Lance Buddy Franklin played 354 senior AFL games across both Hawthorn and Sydney, booting 1,066 goals, just the sixth player in AFL history to do so. He won 2 premierships with Hawthorn before crossing to the Sydney Swans on a landmark 9-year deal worth Australian $10 million. Franklin is an all-time All-Australian and a 4-time Coleman Medal winner. In the FIFA World Cup group games yesterday, Japan beat Spain 4-0 in Wellington, Zambia beat Costa Rica 3-1 in Hamilton, Australia beat Canada 4-0 in Melbourne, and Ireland and Nigeria drew in Brisbane. Today sees Portugal versus USA at 7 p.m. at Eden Park in Auckland, Vietnam versus Netherlands at 7 p.m. in Dunedin, Haiti versus Denmark at 7 p.m. in Perth, and China versus England at 8:30 p.m. in Adelaide. And at the Netball World Cup pool games in Cape Town, South Africa overnight, in the top 8, Australia 77, Scotland 37, New Zealand 83, Wales 34, Jamaica 61, Uganda 49, and England 72 beat Tonga 46, while Barbados beat Zimbabwe 62-45, Malawi beat Fiji 62-48, Singapore beat Sri Lanka 55-52, and South Africa beat Trinidad 69-28. Games today sees Barbados versus Singapore, Australia versus Malawi, Tonga versus Scotland, Zimbabwe versus Sri Lanka, Fiji versus England, Wales, Uganda, Jamaica take on Trinidad, and New Zealand versus South Africa. In rugby, all the big rugby on Saturday, Samoa versus Tonga in Apia at 1 p.m. local time, New Zealand versus Australia in Dunedin at 7:05 p.m., and Japan hosts the Fiji Water Flying Fijians at Prince Chichibu's Memorial Stadium in Tokyo at 5:15 p.m. local time. And in combat sports, Justin Gauthier knocked Dustin Poirier out cold with a stunning head kick yesterday, winning their rematch at UFC 291 and claiming the BMF title in the process. 5 years after suffering a TKO loss to Poirier, Gauthier looked a completely different fighter against his fellow American, getting the better of most exchanges in round 1. Gauthier, widely deemed the most exciting athlete in the UFC, then dropped Poirier with a clean head kick in round 2 to end the fight. In Rugby League, NRL games this weekend on Thursday, the Roosters versus Manly at the Sydney Cricket Ground at 7:50 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. On Friday, Gold Coast Titans versus the New Zealand Warriors at Cbus Stadium at 6 p.m. and the Panthers versus the Storm at Bluebet Stadium at 8 p.m. On Saturday, the Cowboys versus the Broncos in Townsville at 3 p.m. and a doubleheader in Perth. The Dolphins versus the Knights at 5:30 p.m. followed by Cronulla versus South Sydney. On Sunday, Parramatta Eels versus St. George Dragons at Combank Stadium at 2 p.m. and the Canberra Raiders versus West Tigers at GIO Stadium in Canberra at 4:05 p.m. And in sports biz, Manchester United and Adidas are extending the most lucrative jersey collaboration in international football. The German brand has agreed to pay US $115 million a year through 2035 as Man United's official uniform supplier. That's an EPL record and a significant increase from the current annual figure of around US $95 million. In 2022, Man U reclaimed the top spot in worldwide football jersey sales with more than 3 million sold, thanks in large part to the brief return of Cristiano Ronaldo, which sparked more than US $200 million in sales in just 10 days. And that's a wrap for TEIVOVOsports.com. I'm Carlton Kamea. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below if you want to receive more Pasifika sports highlights on Breakfast Bites. Mahalo, ka kite, and thank you all too much for all your love and support.